So, George, to kick things off here, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to start a news outlet?
Well, that's a long story, but I will start, when I was probably in high school, middle school, I always thought about writing and then journalism. I was a big fan of James Reston in the New York Times. He was the columnist for the Times back then. And then I had this kind of epiphany. I was a little bit more of a wise ass, and I stood up in a social studies class where we were studying the Soviet Union, the U.S. and we were talking about the free press versus the state-owned press. And I, being the wise ass, said, maybe there's not such a difference between the two, and maybe the folks in the Soviet Union actually have the advantage in that they know where their news is coming from, whereas here, we have this. I didn't say it this way at the time, but I articulate it now. We have this multi-billion-dollar PR industry that uses the media as a platform for their clients' messages. And so then our news is coming from so many different angles, and yet it's filtered through this supposedly objective platform. So with that realization, I ceased to want to become a journalist at the time. And I entered communications. I started a communications company in the late 80s. We're working with EPA. We helped them launch their Energy Star program. And then I got into the internet, ran a patient education website that helped collect all this best available knowledge on lab testing. So for patients who wanted to know what their lab tests were about. And along the way, I got challenged by the executive editor at CQ at the time, David Rapp. I told him that story about middle school, and he said, "So what are you going to do about it?" And in thinking about the answer to that question, I realized the model I had created for this lab testing site might be applicable. Try to gather the best available knowledge focused on the systemic problems we have and what progress is being made to solve them. So it took a while, but I finally, had the time and the resources to try to get it off the ground.